Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. My guest today is Sue Phillips. She's an internationally acclaimed fragrance expert and entrepreneur. She has spent over 35 years transforming fragrance from a luxury item into a personal art form and tool for healing. She has created iconic scents for brands like Tiffany, Burberry, and Diane von Furstenberg. Pioneer personalized perfumery through the Scentarium, now Sue Phillips Fragrance, a good change of name, where clients design bespoke scents. Her work has attracted celebrity clients such as Zendaya, Holmes, Jamie Foxx, and Susan Sarandon. Yet she remains committed to making fragrance an accessible expression of individuality, memory, and emotion. Hello, Sue, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Thank you so much for having me. Lovely to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited because this sounds like it's going to be a heck of a journey that you're going to share with us, and such exciting things you're doing. And definitely, fragrance is not something that has come up on the show very often. I've had some oil experts, but let's just start with your origin story. When you were a young Sue, did she dream of making perfumes and all this fanciness, or totally unexpected turn of life?
Totally unexpected. You know, when my mom would go out with my dad at night, she would spray perfume on herself, and in the air it lingered. So even though they had gone out, I didn't feel alone. I was with my brother, and I always smelled her beautiful aroma. And there was a certain level of comfort knowing that even though she wasn't with me, her essence was with me. And so, I grew up with a lot of art and music. My mom was an amazing artist and a musician. So we always had lovely sensory things in the air: art, music, beautiful food. She entertained. And so even her fragrance was something very sensory. And so I knew I was part of that whole thing growing up.
That's interesting. So what were her fragrance? Now I'm curious. What was she wearing at those days?
I think she was wearing something called Moondrops a long time ago. And then over the years, of course, it changed. But I don't specifically remember what it was at that particular time. But I know that over the years, she had beautiful perfumes. And I always used to watch her spraying it on and enjoyed that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And obviously, I mean, as I share in the bio, in the intro, you've had a long career in fragrances. So it's not like one of those journeys that I've had in the past where, people take U-turns and they come back to their passion. It seems pretty much that you stayed aligned with that fascination and that passion. So you started young in that world. Tell us, and you're in New York, correct?
Well, I'm in New York now, but I'm originally from South Africa. And actually, I was a singer and an actress in South Africa. And I came to New York to really, have a career. But I tell people that the first thing the immigration attorney said is, forget it. We have thousands of out-of-work singers and actresses. We don't need another one. But long story short, he actually liked the fact that I could represent him. He said he would hire me. He would process my green card. At night, I would go singing and acting. And at the end of the year, when I fully was a legal citizen, I went to a headhunter. And the headhunter said that he liked how I looked, how I sounded, that he thought I'd be very good in different aspects. So I got 3 job offers in 1 week. One was to work in banking, not for me. Mm-hmm. One was to work in fashion. At the time, I didn't think I knew anything about fashion because, we were so isolated in South Africa. We were fashion backwards. But the 3rd job offer was to work at Elizabeth Arden. I thought, voila, isn't that great? Cosmetics, theater, it all, worked out together. So that's how I started my career at Elizabeth Arden in training. Then they promoted me to product development and marketing. And then Lancome hired me as marketing director for fragrance and men's skincare. And then Tiffany hired me as executive vice president, and I developed the Tiffany perfume. And along the way, I learned about perfume, I learned about fragrance, I learned how to talk about it, how to train people who were selling the perfumes behind the counter. So my journey started many, many years ago. And even though I'm not a perfumer, I understand perfumery very, very well.
What a different world when you say I'm not a perfumer, and it's like it sounds like you are, but to those of us that don't know anything, that I do know that I love perfumes. Like
Yes,
from very young age, if there was something I felt like you always there have one that it's yours, but I always like to, as I say, cheat on it with other perfumes, and depending my mood or
exactly.
I would change a little bit. So
Well,
that's
you mentioned something very interesting, Leticia. It is the mood. When you have a certain mood, you want to feel happy and excited and upbeat, you wear a certain fragrance. When you want to feel sensual, you choose another. When you want to try and feel calm and relaxed. So you see, the mood really can also dictate what kind of fragrance you choose. And mood and memory and emotion are very connected with fragrance.
I love that. I was on your webpage and you say I will disclose that I know that when I wear a long gown, like black tie thin, Cartier is my perfume to go. Like I never use it because it's like heavy. I feel it, but for that kind of dress,
Occasion, yes.
I just love it how it smells. And then there's others. But with that said, then I mean, you've created and you embark in entrepreneurship, like you did that kind of, okay, how do I bring perfume to the world? And I love that. I've been on your webpage. You have a very interesting quiz, and I want to know more about it. I took it, so I already have my results, but they will be on the show notes so that everybody can go and take the quiz. So, but tell us a little bit when you kind of broke from, corporate, so to speak, and you decided to embark in entrepreneurship. What motivated you? What was there a moment that triggered that kind of decision? How was that process for you?
Well, it was really life. I was the executive vice president of Tiffany. I had my daughter, and there were some complications, so I basically said, all right, well, what's important? So I had my daughter, and thank goodness she's healthy. But at the time, I thought, I don't want to stop working, but I don't want to, have jeopardy. So I started my own consulting company at the time, which I called Centerprises, Cent and Enterprises. And that's how I started very, very, serendipitously by having my own business. By this stage, I'd learned so much about fragrance from Elizabeth Arden and Lancome and Tiffany. And I started thinking about customization at a time when nobody was doing custom fragrances. Everybody was doing designer fragrances and celebrity fragrances. And people said, "Well, what are you doing? Tupperware parties for perfume?" And they laughed at me. And over the years, customization or bespoke personalization has become so popular. And now in this day and age of selfies and influencers, and everybody wants to represent their own brand, customization is it's become the top trend right now. And I always say, why wear what everybody else wears when you can create your own?
That's amazing. I mean, in just what you said, I think that lies one of the reasons why I do this podcast is when there's ideas that they intuitively that it's a path to go towards, and then people laugh and people dismiss. And so I had another guest that said, when people think your idea is good, it's a bad, no, how did she said something that it was brilliant. Like, I get worried when people agree that my idea is good.
That's right.
Like when they say it's a bad idea, that's when you're onto something because they're not seeing what you've seen. And I thought that was Melissa and Doug, founder of the Toy Empire. And she started like that with people laughing at her, at some of her ideas. So I always love that brilliance when somebody shares it. And I think that's really great where you help others create their own fragrance. So
Yes.
as you say, not only celebrities but anybody. So share us
And
a little bit about that process.
sure, so many people don't know what type of fragrance they like. They say, oh, I like this brand and this brand, but the brand maybe has 15 or 20 fragrances. And so the idea that, we are all a brand. Some people like light things, they like dark things, they like, light citrus things, they like sexy, sensual. It's the same with food. Sometimes we like, heavier food in winter, we like lighter food in summer. And so there's so many different aspects of perfumery that people don't really know what they like. So you took my scent quiz. I see that your results, I have your results.
Oh.
And it's interesting because people think that, well, women are only going to wear florals and men are only going to wear woodsy, or only perfume is for women and cologne is for men. But that's really just the description. Perfume is for everybody. It's just a question of concentration and strength. Perfumes is the highest, most concentrated form, and as you dilute it, it gets lower and lower. So the reason that I love to do the scent quiz is because I like people to understand what fragrance family suits them best.
Mm.
And it's interesting because you told me you love to go when you wear a black tie and you love to Cartier. So Cartier is a very beautiful floral and some light fragrances. And your scent result was 5 times fresh,
Mm-hmm.
4 times floral,
Yeah.
2 times woodsy, and 1 time spicy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I see that, I would make a fragrance for you that was a combination of beautiful, light, bright, citrusy notes with some very beautiful, sexy florals and a little hint of a sandalwood and maybe a tiny touch of spicy just to give it that sexuality.
Wow, that's so interesting. One thing I noticed about the quiz that I love, by the way, it's now you would think they want to know what is your favorite fragrance. And I love the fact that you don't ask that. And that means that you really go down to like the essence because yeah, it's tricky. Like there are some scents that I like, you gravitate, and maybe they do not like you, but I don't know. It's very, even how you answer the questions, it's like, it's almost the same question asked differently, and you choose something that is different. So I just love the
Yeah.
exercise.
Thank you. Well, it's really a lifestyle quiz. There's only one question about fragrance. What kind of aroma do you like, whether it's freshly baked bread or the sea air? But other than that, it's really about your lifestyle. What kind of day, what time of day do you like? What colors do you like? What seasons do you like? Where do you like to go on vacation? So it's really about the person, the individual. And then basically, based on their results, I can create a fragrance for people. And I've created about 50,000 fragrances over the last 10, 12 years for people who just want a beautiful custom fragrance. And then, of course, I know we'll probably talk about what happens when you lose your sense of smell and you cannot smell. That's a whole nother thing that I've helped people regain their sense of smell from COVID and anosmia.
Mm. I was going to ask you because I know in your bio you describe it as a personal art form and then tool for healing.
Yes.
So is that what you're referring to, like with the sensory gets lost and diluted? I don't know.
Yeah, during COVID, well, even before that, for centuries, people have lost their sense of smell. And people didn't pay attention to it because it wasn't a pandemic. Suddenly, the pandemic came, and the symptoms was loss of smell and also loss of taste. And
Hmm.
many, many people realized how devastating it is when they lose their sense of smell. And um, some people never got it back. Some people did get it back. I actually have helped about 250 people regain their sense of smell by
Oh, wow.
taking them on a scent healing journey.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting. Definitely. Centillion journey. And I know that on your, I mean, you've been on covers, you've worked with celebrities. What do you think it's the most, I don't know, challenging aspect? Because I can imagine you take the quiz, you order the fragrance. Is there a moment where you're like, am I gonna like this? I mean, is this gonna represent me? How do you work around that?
Well, that's a very good question because, in the quiz, I do ask, what is your gender? What is your name? What type of fragrances do you like? Because in this day and age, a name like Tony could be a man or a woman. A name like Sean could be a man or a woman. And there are certain preferences when it comes to women's fragrances and men's fragrances, even though the word perfume in marketing terms is just a marketing term. It doesn't mean perfume is only for women. What I said earlier was perfume is the concentration, the strength. But, typically people say women love perfumes and men like colognes. So when I ask in the scent quiz, what's your name and what do you like? I can judge whether they are masculine or feminine or, somewhere in between.
Fascinating. And I know that you also there's so many different angles that you have explored these offerings, so to speak. And I love also that you offer for team buildings for corporate
Yes.
events, which I think is brilliant. And I think you say do something around the perfume bar. And I know in our audience there's a lot of HR executives, people that sometimes you look for things that are a little bit different. How have you found this let's say proposal or this offering to the corporate team buildings? What kind of results have you had?
Well, thank you. Corporations are looking to generate camaraderie, team building, harmony, as consensus of working together. And in corporations, you have so many different departments. HR, sales, marketing, finance, they all do their own thing and they all supposed to work together, but they all work very independently. What we do with corporate events, we really help people understand the corporate philosophy. And by doing something as crazy as fragrance with a fragrance bar, it really takes them out of their departments and it makes them think in a very high sort of way, a very artistic way. And so what we do is we divide the groups into teams. Let's say A, B, C, D. It could be fresh, floral, woodsy, spicy, or yellow, blue, green, and red. And so we ask them to really think about what the team effort is, what the team philosophy is. And then we ask them to think about how to create fragrances. Oops, hold on. I just got a phone call. Can you hear me? Oh.
I can.
Okay. And basically it's a way for them to really build camaraderie and come together. And at the end, each of the teams, they will present their philosophy for the team. We'll also have them create a fragrance for the team. And then every time they wear the fragrance, they'll be thinking of the results and of the team building seminar and event. And it's a way to really come together. It's a wonderful way because it's not just going for a walk or going for a run on the beach. It's really thinking about how fragrance can work with each group, each team. Is it fresh? Is it floral? Is it woodsy? Is it spicy? Is it for men? Is it for women? And we just have them really understand the team ethos, if you will, the team philosophy. And by coming up with a fragrance, it makes it really fun and very exciting. And so we've done team building events for major corporations, AOL, Google, Pinterest, Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, a bunch of corporations. And they love it because it really is something very different. And it makes the players, all the participants, step out of themselves and into a whole new world. And it's really fun.
No, I love it. I absolutely love the idea because it's really you said the word ethos, but that's something that I was thinking with the same exact word. It's a lot of people have issues connecting to the company's culture
Yeah.
and to the company's essence. And I think that what a great exercise to like all agree into our perception of the company or
Exactly.
of the team we're working, and then helping them build something together. That's incredible. So for the entrepreneurs out there, Sue, for somebody that was incorporated, had a great idea, but something that most likely say, yeah, you love perfumes and you're now going to do consulting on this. Like it has all the ingredients for the naysayers to like bring you down. What advice would you have to other people that have similar ideas in whatever they're passionate about, but they have that voice inside of themselves and outside of themselves saying, don't do it. You're never going to make money out of this. You can never be successful with something like that.
I say honestly, I know it sounds very simple and very trite. Follow your dream, follow your passion. If you love it, if it makes sense for you and you love the idea, go for it. I have had, and I call it my 6 Ps. I have followed my passion. I persevere. I'm persistent. I'm professional. I have a purpose and my perfume. And honestly, over the years, even though I'm still involved in theater and I still love to perform and I'm still an actress and I love to talk and I'm an author and I'm a writer, everything revolves around how to make people feel strong and confident and happy in where their fragrance choice is. So it always leads back to fragrance. Even when I do corporate events or I do scent dinners or we do innovative events, it always leads back to the one thing that I love. And I love to help people understand the magic and the power of perfume. And of course, that I have to talk about my book, The Power of
Absolutely. I was going to
Perfume.
ask you about it. Yes.
And so I would say that's such a good question, for people who have been in the corporate world and they're very, rigid, and that's the corporate world has to be very straight and in a box. I'll never forget one time I was at a corporation. In fact, I was at Elizabeth Arden, and my boss at the time, he got so frustrated with me because I was doing all kinds of creative things. And he said to me, "Oh, Sue, you're such an entrepreneur." And he said
Mm.
it in such a terrible way, like that was the worst thing I could be. You're such an entrepreneur.
Mm.
And actually, I was very upset. And then I took it as a big compliment. And in fact, now I call myself a Centrepreneur. An entrepreneur was sent, a Centrepreneur.
Mm. Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. That is amazing. Sometimes people see your superpower and you don't see it.
Exactly.
And then even the fact that you maybe initially took it as offense, but then it's like,
Yes.
oh, but yeah, that's actually quite the compliment.
Right. Right.
So tell us about the book. How did you decided to write? That's another, bucket l- list thing for
Yes.
of many people.
So during COVID, when everything shut down and my boutique shut down, I was all the way downtown in Tribeca. I had a lovely boutique called the Scentarium, and there was nobody coming downtown. You could actually shoot a cannonball down Broadway and it wouldn't have hit anybody because there was no business. And so I'd always loved to write. I was writing a lot of articles for some of the magazines, and I finally said, "Okay, Sue, write your book." And I wasn't sure what to call it, but at the end, I called it The Power of Perfume because this is what I've been talking about for so long. And it's really not a heavy book. It's just based on lots of different chapters. You can pick up the book any place and read it, a chapter about something interesting, whether it's, this is, uh, Americans are obsessed with cleanliness. Why do Americans love fresh and clean so much?
Mhm.
Why do Europeans like florals? Um, uh, Living through the different notes, top notes, middle notes, base notes. So it's a really interesting, fun book to read, and it gives a lot of advice, a lot of tips, and it's a very light reading, but very deep.
Mm.
It's not going to give you a headache. It's going to really make you think about the magic and the power of perfume. And so during COVID, when everything shut down, that's when I wrote my book. And now what's happened is because I wrote my book and because there were so many people who suffered from anosmia, I'm now writing a second book with a neuroscientist who can you see me?
Yes.
Sorry, that's the trouble when you have a phone and you're on an interview. So I'm now writing my second book with a neuroscientist all about what happened during COVID with people losing their sense of smell. And I'm very excited about it because, so many people are interested in it. Even though COVID happened a few years ago, some people are still left with no sense of smell, no sense of taste.
Yeah, it's really dramatic. I know I have a few friends that haven't recovered, and it's hard to even imagine not be able to smell or sense that. That's incredible, and it's another example how, as you say, follow your dreams, follow your passion, because you never see the entire journey. Like, it's impossible because there's these the hidden gifts, really, like something that this second book you couldn't have predicted before COVID. So if in 2018 you want to do a roadmap of what this journey is going to look like, you're going to miss a huge part of that
Exactly.
journey just because you had no way of knowing what's ahead of you. And so it's great that you have followed that path. And I know we've spoken about a lot of different things. Always love to give a chance to for the guests to share anything that we haven't discussed, anything that you're excited about that you want to share with the audience as well. I read somewhere that there's an app or an app coming. Do you have an app?
Well, I had an app called Sue Phillips app, APP, and then I was working with somebody, and it didn't really work out. So I'm actually working on an app again, but my website is SuePhillips.com, so people can go to Sue Phillips, and it's with two L's, LLIPS, and take the scent quiz, just like you did. Did you enjoy taking the quiz?
Absolutely, I did. I did. And I
Yeah.
have a birthday coming up, and I'm going to pass it on to my kiddos and say, okay, I did the homework for you. Now there's a
Perfect.
gift idea.
There you go. Exactly. And I meet people in my boutique, or I can meet people online. What's so interesting, Leticia, is that everybody, we all love to smell, we love to taste. And because of this digital world that we're living in, how do you smell fragrance over the computer or over the TV? Well, there are so many different applications for that. But one of the things that I did with this quiz was to really try and incorporate a lifestyle with the perfumery so that you don't have to meet me in person. You can take the quiz online, and that I will then be able to, through my expertise, and just because I've been doing this for so long, I'll be able to help people understand how to really reflect their individuality. So if people are interested, I would love to have them take the quiz and see what fragrance we come up with for them, and we ship it to you. So you don't have to meet with me in person. Of course, when you meet with me in person, it's really a fun, lovely experience. It's very interactive. It's fun. It's educational. It's entertaining. But you can also meet with me online.
That is great. That is great to know, Sue. And yeah, no, I definitely anybody out there that takes the quiz and is interested, and maybe it's in New York, that's a fun thing to do. Or also, the corporate events thing. I think that's incredible, and definitely will be your book notes, your book link in the notes. And
Thank
then,
you.
the last question I have for all my guests is about what makes you tick. So obviously, perfume and fragrances make you tick, but what else helps you reconnect to your soul?
You know, all the senses. As I said, I grew up. My mother was an amazing artist. In fact, I dedicate the book to her. Here she is. She was an
Oh,
amazing
oh,
artist, Grace Phillips.
gorgeous.
And this
Yeah.
is my daughter. So I dedicated this. And so because I grew up with art and music, and she was a terrific baker and a wonderful chef and a homemaker, I always have the senses in my head. When I go to restaurants and I eat food, I think about the sensory aspects. When I go to the art exhibitions and I see the different paintings, I think about what color, what fragrances do the art pieces represent. So I would say I'm much more of an artistic, creative person. I like sport. I love tennis, but I'm not going to go hiking. I'm not going to go deep sea fishing. I'm not going to go mountain climbing. I'm all about the arts. So that's really what makes me tick.
Beautiful, beautifully said. It's amazing the breadth of answers I've had in this. So it's like people, it's funny because a lot of people intuitively we go to sports or activity, but a good amount of people don't even go there. Like they have other things. That's why I love the question so much. It doesn't
Right.
get boring because you really see that everybody taps into something different. And
And of
so,
course, theater. I love theater. I'm still acting, so theater is also my whole sort of desire. I love that as well.
oh, great. Any project, any acting project you like to share?
Well, one day I want to do a one-woman show about my life, my perfume, my theater. So that's going to happen probably next year.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we're definitely going to keep an eye on you, Sue Phillips, to see if we can see you on stage. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining. And
Thank you.
definitely go take that quiz. It's very quick, and it's going to give you insights into your favorite scent. Thank you. And until a new episode of Back to Basics.
Thank you, Leticia.
Thank you. You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.